Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Joe Smeltzer, Jarrod Prugar here with Nittany Sports Now. Penn State lost the Peach Bowl. It was not the greatest of games in any way, sense, or form for the Nittany Lions. Very uncharacteristic, and really, from our pregame conversation to now, that Penn State team looks much, much different than what we saw on the field.
Absolutely, Jared. And you look at the scoreboard, 38-25, you kind of assume that, okay, the offense did its part, the defense didn't, and the defense, at least the secondary, didn't do its part. But Penn State's offense, I think, might be the main takeaway of today's game. You watch this team all season. You wonder about when the receivers are going to step up. You wonder when the explosive plays are going to come. You wonder the usage of Nicholas Singleton and Katron Allen was called into question at times this year. And all of those problems that I just mentioned were problems again today. I can't really say I understand why you remember that first drive, which, even though it ended in a field goal, was a pretty damn good drive, and that was because of Nicholas Singleton and Katron Allen. Then they get Singleton out in space for a 50-yard touchdown, which Bo Pribula threw, probably the offensive highlight of the day, and it just didn't feel like they rode those guys the way they should have. I think in the first half, I can't pinpoint the exact moment, but they kind of shifted away from the run, and that after that happened, that really kind of changed the day for Penn State's offense.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, Ole Miss did sell out to stop the run because Penn State's passing game was that bad. It took until the fourth quarter for a Penn State receiver to haul in a pass, and it was Liam Clifford who did it twice there before the offense started clicking on all cylinders. Of course, as Ole Miss is playing on their heels, just before the game we found out that Kalen King and Olu Fashanu weren't going to be available today. That's two big losses, in addition to Johnny Dixon, who just mysteriously has disappeared. We're kind of unsure of what the whole deal is with him, so to speak. Nothing has really been said or done. But again, when you lose your top two corners, it's not a good situation. And to the benefit of Ole Miss, they capitalized. Jackson Dart had a great game, and they just did a great job of really executing and taking advantage of Penn State, where Penn State had some holes. So now it's back to the drawing board for Penn State as they got the offseason now in their hands. And what are some of your other takeaways before we wrap it up here, Joe?
Yeah, my takeaway is that Ole Miss's offense is kind of what we want Penn State, or fans, want Penn State's offense to be, right? Fast pace, exciting, throwing it down the field, good receivers. Penn State has good tight ends already, but hopefully we kind of, for Penn State's sake, kind of see that with Andy Kotelnicki next season. But I think looking at what Jackson Dart was able to do compared to what Drew Allar was able to do, Drew Allar's a five-star quarterback. There's no reason he shouldn't be able to put up big numbers in big games. And Penn State played three what I would consider big-time opponents. Maybe Iowa's on the fringe, but, I mean, Iowa wasn't winning that game regardless of what the offense did. But Ohio State, Michigan, Ole Miss all had a common theme. Drew Allar didn't play close to that five-star billing, and today Jackson Dart looked like the guy that was a five-star.
Right, and that's, you mentioned Drew Allar. Drew Allar did not play by far his best game at all. And when you kind of look back at Penn State's season, their best win was their first win, and that was West Virginia at this point, with how West Virginia's season has unfolded. But Allar needs help around him. He can't do it all. I mean, we talk about how bad the receivers were, and they were not good. And by not good, I mean they just didn't exist this season. Outside of Trey Wallace, comes back, has a really good fourth quarter, and then leaves after injuring the same shoulder that he had hurt before. So there's a lot to work on, and there's a lot more to come from Mercedes-Benz Stadium. From Nittany Sports Now, for Jarrod Prugar and Joe Smeltzer, we thank you, as always, for listening.